to everyone. It's a great pleasure and privilege to be together with all of you again, and I hope everybody's safe and healthy. We're thrilled to be able to cover two really, really important and significant areas in terms of the action and the projects we're thinking about, and irrespective of what specific action it is, just our work in terms of protecting our planet and ocean action in particular. The first of which will be leadership, and I would like to thank the entire NMF, or the National Maritime Foundation family, very, very much for their incredible leadership in making the leadership session happen. So it's truly a privilege and honor, and I'd like to thank you very much once again and warmly welcome you. I also want to say we have the privilege of having many of the NMF family here with us. Admiral Chauhan, thank you very much, and a warm welcome. Deputy Director Anand Kumar, it's such a pleasure. I know you'll be covering a lot of the leadership aspects in the course of our discussion. Dr. Bajaj, Mr. Priya Joshi, who I know will be working in terms of mentoring a number of the participants through the session, Ms. Ashwarya and Ananya, who will be discussing the legal aspects. These are really, really important. And also I want to say, Sir Satyam Shekhar, thank you very much for being with us, as well as the Blue Economy Cluster, whom we have the pleasure of having with us here today. I'm sure that this will be an extremely enlightening and rich session in terms of practical skills and tools that we can use in terms of leadership on the issue of ocean advocacy and action. So thank you once again, and we're hugely privileged to have you here with us. And I also want to say we will have a second session following the one on leadership, which will be led by Summer, who I think is already here with us, and other members of the Eco Eaters family, Caroline and Lauren, who will join us shortly. And for those who don't know, the Eco Eaters have been doing some fascinating work in terms of advocacy and implementation on the ground. And I'm not going to reveal all, but I just want to say on some extremely important aspects in terms of action in elimination of plastic. And I think it's really a fascinating case because it involves behavior change, which is one of the key elements I know we're all grappling with especially in the plastics area. So a young and extremely dynamic group, and we warmly welcome them. And with that, I'm just going to say thank you to everyone for being here. It's a great pleasure to have everybody back and enjoy this. With that, back to Anna. And I just want to say thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Ash. That was a really good introduction. I see we have more participants joining us as time goes by, so we'll probably get a couple of more joining us in the next couple of minutes. But without further ado, I would like to pass the word on to the NMF so they can start their amazing session on leadership. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everybody. I am Commander Anand, the Deputy Director of National Maritime Foundation. First of all, thanks a lot, Ash, the POP Moment, for having this collaboration with the National Maritime Foundation, for us to come here, share our experience and learn from you. That's the basic outline with which you are here. And I am also thankful to our Director General, Admiral Chauhan, who facilitated this and encouraged us to go through this journey of leadership. And perhaps here the group has done work on their own. And so it's had been a learning curve for ourselves, our own self as a leadership. So before going ahead, I just want to tell you that what is our plan. Plan is that we will talk about making a leadership, what are the leadership attributes. Before I go, I understand and I'm confident that we all who are here participating are itself leaders, because that's why we are here. And we are leadership in our own field and in our own understanding. So why am I talking about leadership? It is just to reiterate some things and learn if there are some gaps. Thereafter, we will be talking about some legal aspects. And once the legal aspect is over, then Dr. Push Bajaj will try to merge that understanding of leadership with the knowledge. And then we break out into two groups. wherein we do a small workshop of 15 minutes. For that, study material was given to you, and then last 5 minutes both the groups can come and explain what they want to do. So that's how we have packaged. And without any delay, I would like to share my presentation and straightway launch into the actual activity. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much. I think you have been made co-host. Perfect. Now you're able to see your screen.
uh, are you able to see the presentation?
Yes, yes, we are. Thank you so much.
Okay. So we are going to talk about becoming a leader. And so let's see this question: which bird is the leader in this? You can put your answers in a chat. Which bird you think is the leader? Okay. Now here the beautiful and the most striking thing is that these all birds keep changing their leadership position one by one. That means the entire group is a group full of leaders. It's only for the time being one bird becomes the leader, and then the second and third, and they keep changing. So that's what the essence which I feel when we are working about youth activism. There will not be one leader, it will be a collective group, wherein depending on scenario and depending on each other's attributes and ability, they will keep changing the role of leadership and follower. That's the first thing to understand. Now here is your another picture, and thus you can identify leaders here like Mahatma Gandhi, Greta. There's our Indian one. There are some students here, and I have kept these two in picture, saying that the leaders will not remain one. They will keep changing until unless somebody reaches to that height wherein they become completely different from others. So the scope and agenda of my presentation, we'll talk about leadership, we'll talk about some group dynamics because we'll be interacting as a group, then how to develop leadership in youth activity, advocacy, and then the case study, wherein I will try to overlap whatever we have learned with one case study example. So what are the leadership dynamics and efficiencies? First is knowledge. We need to have knowledge about what we are going to do, what is the task which we are taking on. And that depends on how much interest we have got, our understanding about group dynamics, and our ability to plan a certain activity. This will in turn depend on what is our attitude, what are the values, what the kind of motivation which I've got. And for that, we require curiosity, self awareness, who am I, open mindedness to accept and understand each other's point of view and take everybody, have the ability to trust each other, and personal integrity that we know what we are doing. And thereafter will come the skills. A person should have the requisite skill to make a decision. He should have the ability to have critical thinking, ability to do conflict resolution, make a good team, have a good solid ethics, communication skills, and most important, active listening to listen to others' point of view. And most important, and combining all, is your emotional quotient, wherein it comes how to motivate your people, how to empathize, and interpersonal skills. So these are all your leadership competencies. Once we have understood, let's see whether it's a group or a team. So initially when people meet, it's a group where everybody has got some ideas about each other, or they are just managed. It's a crowd basically. And over a period of time, by using your leadership skill, you take a team. So that team will be a subset of a larger universal set, which is a group, and all both of them will have to move together towards achieving the aim. So how is the group dynamics comes? Initially there is a crowd, then it will be forming. That is, you will the leader will be able to communicate what he wants, and people will start coming. They will be quite optimistic, there will be a lot of expectation. However, some people may have anxiety, some people may have suspicion. What's the aim, why are they doing it? Some may have maybe thinking, what's the job I am going to get? Somebody may be having anxiety about what role he is going to do. And then comes storming, wherein people will start talking to each other. There will be discrepancies, there will be confusion, there will be conflict, and here the leader needs to have coaching and conflict resolution abilities to get people together. That the third stage will be norming, wherein there'll be a transitional. That means people who were fighting, there was a conflict, there was confusion, now they are meeting together. There'll be feedback, there'll be action, and here the leader is required to have a to do a role of facilitator and to encourage people. And thereafter it will be performing. Once everything is set, everybody's job role is clear, conflicts are resolved, there is a clear job role, and here the leader will develop many more leaders to take on job and active participation. And at the end the task will be over, group will split, and here the leader will do supporting roles so that everybody splits and goes to their own place perfectly happy. So that's the group dynamics, and overall this is how it will look like. Now let's see what are the core activities. First, we need to know what is the problem. We have to define the problem, and it will come by having a need assessment to understand what is required, what's the need. So what's needed, then identify the interest group who are interested in it, and then carry out the scoping and reality check whether it is possible, it is feasible with our resources or not. Once we have done that, then you carry out a planning of the activity, why you should do it, for whom you are going to do it, what are you going to do it, how are you going to do it, when will you start, and where will you start. These are the questions which you will answer, and it will provide the framework for your activity. And thereafter you do brainstorming or a Delphi method. What is Delphi method? Basically you get some experts, ask them how to do it, and thereafter make your plan, decide where is the resource, how the funding will happen, how are you going to implement, then how are you going to monitor that feedback, then your PR, personal relations, media, and this is how the whole movement will work. And the structure will be, again, like you identify the needed change, then you develop a shared vision among the people. You have to develop a shared vision, otherwise it will not move. So everybody should be able to understand the same vision, what is there and what we are planning. Thereafter create a demand, what specific policy change or action you want from the government or from the society. That has to be created, and it should be specific policy or a demand. Then you create a strategy how you are going to go about it. Thereafter you make a plan of action. Who are your targets, whether youth or community or a government policy or a particular law or a particular environmental activities, who are going to be your supporters, and what is the resource, and here your funding, your other people, your elders, and academia, uh, people who have got technical knowledge, all those will be your resource. Then you have to devise a communication strategy, create effective message, create a story which is acceptable and which is exciting to people. Once you have done that, then you do your PR, which is outreach, social media, campaign. And remember, it should be in local language. Wherever, whichever area you are going and doing, that language should be used so that people can connect fast and easily. Thereafter you'll have to develop ownership. The team members will have to develop ownership so that you can make a collective power and make it a very, very effective and efficient team. Here the leader should be able to, or should strive to make many, many more leaders so that the movement can be sustained, and the journey counts small gains so that your motivation level remains high till such time you achieve your final goal. Now what is this tree upside down? So this is basically to identify what's the need. So the most important is to understand the root cause. What are the underlying historical, social, or economic root cause of the problem? The problem may be, let's say we are talking about plastic use, but why the plastic is being used? What's the economical issue about it? What's the historical background? Why it is used? Because it is very, very comfortable for people. So we need to know the root cause of the problem. Thereafter, we have to see what are the structures, practices, and policies which are helping this problem to fester. Once we have understood that, thereafter, you see what are the problems do you see facing your community. That's the superficial. What is the problem which you see people are facing? So this is how you have to go, and ultimately you have to understand this. So it's in a way management by objective. Now, whatever we learned till now, I am trying to correlate with one activity in India which happened, that is called APPIKO movement, and you will be able to understand whatever I taught, or I spoke, how it merges. So this APPIKO moment happened in Western Ghats, North Karnataka. This is the area where it happened, and these are the people. Basically, they, they used to stand around the tree, holding the tree, hugging the tree, so that people who have come to do cutting of tree or tree felling were not able to do it. So what happened? This was basically in 1983. People struggle against commercial forest policy. There was Mr. Panduranga Hegde, who was the leader of Gubbi Gade village. It happened in North Karnataka, and it was basically the destruction of tropical forest because of monoculture policy. Basically, government had started, planting only a particular kind of tree by felling that mixture of trees which were there in forest, that is teak and eucalyptus. And this practice was there since the British time. So because of felling of natural forest, there was soil erosion, there was drying up of perennial water source, and there was loss of forest produce. So this Apiko Chulavi was initially called, in local it is called to hug. It was of 38 days activity. Result, felling of trees stopped, and it spread to the entire Western Ghat, and it helped to protect the forest in entire Western Ghat. Now, what I'm going to do, that this picture, if you remember, this is what we have talked about earlier, the structure. So I will try to overlap and show you how it happened. Identify the needed change, that is tropical forests were getting destroyed due to monoculture plantation of teak and eucalyptus tree. There was soil erosion, the water sources were drying, and there was reduced forest product, that is honey, herbs and all were getting reduced. So thereafter they developed a shared vision. They said that the self-reliant lifestyle is threatened due to damaged ecosystem. There is erratic rainfall in whole Western Ghat, and it is increasing the poverty. So then they created a demand. They made a protest letter to forest department to stop felling the tree, and they told to initiate measures to stop deforestation. Then they did a communication wherein they made a public opinion against falling tree by doing, nukkad natak, by talking to people. They developed a correlation between monoculture, felling of tree, and loss of forest produce, which is resulting in increased poverty. And they took an inspiration from the famous Chipko movement. Thereafter, they planned an action. Mr. Pandurang invited Mr. Sundarlal Bahuguna, who was a champion of Chipko movement. He narrated the non-violent struggle during the Chipko movement, and villagers got motivated. Thereafter, he created a story. Villagers took oath to save forest by embarrassing tree. They intensified their movement. And on 8 September 1983, around 160 men, women, and children walked into the forest for the cause. Then they did a outreach where there was no one particular leader. They invited the youth club activists, they invited the then agricultural minister, they campaigned about drought and famine which will follow due to felling of trees. They used local newspapers which carried reports on the movement. And then they developed ownership. The youth club and nearby villagers became part of the movement. And within days, various adjoining villages joined the movement, and they named this as Apiko, which is a local word for Chipko. And they developed leaders. Mr. Panduranga Hegde received a Fulbright Award. He traveled and delivered lectures on environmental issues at universities in USA for almost 3 years. So this is how this structure and this event, this case study tried to move around, and this is how we should be developing our activism or activity plan. Thank you. And now I'll request Ashwarya and Ananya to go ahead with their presentation.
Uh, Thank you, Commodore Anand, for that stellar presentation. And thank you, Dr. Pachauri and his team for making us a part of this event. Um, I will dive right into the presentation because we are a bit short on time. So me and my colleague, Ashwarya, we are from the Public International Maritime Law Cluster of National Maritime Foundation, and we will be talking about marine pollution and its legal challenges. So coming to these three problems that we have been facing Single-use plastics have brought great convenience to people around the world, but they also make up a big part of the plastic waste that's now choking our oceans. Polyethylene is the most commonly used plastic, and it was created in 1933 by an accident at a chemical plant in Northwich, England. This was the first synthesis of the material that was industrially practical. In 2002, Bangladesh was the first country in the world to implement a ban on thin plastic bags after they found that it played a key role in clogging drainage systems during disastrous flooding. Other countries began following suit. For example, in 2017, Kenya banned plastic bags, and followed by a dozen of other countries. Coming to microplastics. Microplastics are also found everywhere in the ocean that people have looked, from sediments on the deepest seafloor to ice floating in the Arctic, which, as it melts over the next decade, would release more than 1 trillion bits of plastic into the water. On some beaches on the big island of Hawaii, as much as 15% of the sand is actually grains of microplastic. The transboundary movement of hazardous waste has become a major topic of debate and conflict. And we will be discussing the legal conventions related to this, and also be conducting a simulation exercise regarding this. Over the years, environmental awareness has grown and legislation has been developed to control the handling of waste in general and hazardous waste in particular. This tightening of regulations combined with increasing lack of landfill sites has caused a rise in the price of waste disposal. As a result, a search for cheaper waste disposal means started and was met with the possibility of transporting the waste to other countries that did not have such rigid regulation or could be persuaded to accept the hazardous waste. This went on for many years before, due to public pressure, it became an international concern. We will be talking about the following treaties. And I would just like to tell my participants that treaties are known by a variety of terms like conventions, agreements, pacts, general acts, charters, and covenants, all of which signify written instruments in which the participants, usually but not always states, agree to be bound by the negotiated terms. Some agreements are governed by municipal law, in which case international law is inapplicable. Informal, non binding political statements or declarations are excluded from the category of treaties. Now, I would hand over the presentation to my colleague Ash Farre.
Thank you, Ananya, for your wonderful introduction. And hello, everyone. My name is Aishwarya, and I am associated with the National Maritime Foundation. Now, I would be speaking more about the very technical aspects of marine plastic pollution and its legal implications. So the first and most effective legal instrument to combat marine plastic pollution is the London Dumping Convention. Now, this happens to be a very effective legal convention in dealing with marine plastic pollution. And I would suggest the young ocean advocates who are participating today that whenever they are faced with any legal issue with regards to the marine plastic pollution, they can always refer to the London Dumping Convention. Now, what we see in this slide is a picture of a young girl who is amidst a plastic wastage slot. Now, I would like to tell you that this young girl is combating marine plastic pollution, wherein an awareness drive was carried out in Bangkok, wherein the school kids of your age were made to be aware of the marine plastic pollution by making them swim in a swimming pool filled with plastic wastage. So that brought about a very positive change in the kids who are dealing with it. So could you change the slide, please? Yes. The next and most important effective instrument happens to be MARPOL. Now, MARPOL, as evident from the word itself, happens to deal with marine pollution. MARPOL is very specific in its operation vis-a-vis that it deals with pollution caused by ships. and it deals with other types of pollution as well. So whenever you are faced with a situation wherein you see or come across situations where ships are polluting the oceans or the seas, you can always refer to the MARPOL. And now in this picture, what you see is a ship which is not polluting, but rather it is trying to clean up the ocean, right? So it's a small request to all the participants who have come here, that whenever you come across such incidents, you should encourage them. You should encourage the shipping companies and the shippers who are there to join forces along with you to clean up the ocean. And now can we move ahead? Yes. So coming on to the most important legal instrument with regards to the seas and the oceans is the UNCLAUSE. The UNCLAUSE is the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. It is regarded as the constitution of the law of the seas and the oceans. First and most importantly, it is quite comprehensive in nature. The second thing, judicious use of the ocean resources. Of the ocean resources. That's why I would like to, on this note, I would like to tell you that wherever you go, please keep these three conventions in mind. And with this, I would now like to pass the baton to my colleague, Ms. Ananya.
Thank you, Aishwarya. That was a compelling presentation. Now, moving on to the Basel Convention, as I mentioned earlier, we will talk about transboundary movement of hazardous waste. Basel Convention is one of them which deals with it. Now, the awakening environmental awareness and corresponding tightening of environmental regulations in the industrialized world in the 1970s and 80s led to an increasing public resistance to the disposal of hazardous wastes. There was something called not in my backyard syndrome, which led to an escalation of disposal costs. This in turn led some operators to seek cheap disposal options for hazardous waste in Eastern Europe and the developing world, where environmental awareness was much less developed and regulations and enforcement mechanisms were lacking. The Basel Convention on the Control of Transboundary Movements of Hazardous Waste and Their Disposal, in short, is called the Basel Convention, was adopted in 1989, and the aims have been listed in the screen in front of you. Now, moving on to Weigany Convention. The convention to ban the importation into foreign island countries of hazardous and radioactive wastes and to control the transboundary movement and management of hazardous wastes within the South Pacific region opened for signature in Weigany, Papua New Guinea in 1995 and entered into force in 2001. Now, the convention was designed for the following to achieve the following aims, as is listed in the screen in front of you. The major benefit of the convention is the establishment of a system to prevent hazardous and radioactive waste entering the region or being dumped in your country. A significant but less tangible direct benefit is the reduced risk from a potential hazardous or nuclear waste disaster. Parties are able to feel more secure in the knowledge that the risk of a shipping disaster is far less likely. Now, I would like to close the presentation by mentioning how important our local laws in our fight against combating ocean pollution. As we all know, Greta Thunberg has played a major role in this and has inspired a lot of youth like you and I. And Melati Vision is from Indonesia. And at the age of 18, she got single-use plastic banned in Indonesia. Leah Namugarva was all the case study of Leah has been done in our study material, and I would urge the participants to go through that as well as Ridhima Pandey's case study that we have provided you with. And I would like to end by saying that uh, China has also done taken a pledge that it will cut plastic, single-use plastic, in the coming 20 to 30 years, and it has been one of the biggest pollutants as far as superpowers are concerned. So I think we are moving towards a brighter future, and if we, if we have a concerted effort towards it, I think we can make a difference. So I'll hand over the presentation to Dr. Push to take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ananya. Thank you, Commander Kumar, Ms. Mukherjee, and Mr. Dubey for those insightful presentations. So just to summarize both the presentations, the intention behind these presentations was to first give you an idea of about what constitutes a leader. What are the different types of leaders, and what are the skills and the qualities that you need in order to become an effective leader. And these are not qualities that you are born with. These are skills that you develop over time through continued effort and dedication. And one of the things that is critical for being a leader is that a leader has to be well informed. A leader has to be well educated. And by educated, I do not mean that you need to have a postgraduate degree. I mean that you need to be educated about the issue that you are drawn towards, that you are passionate about. You need to know what the problem is. You need to know why it is a problem. You need to know how it became a problem. And only then can you think about ways in which you can go about solving the problem. And this is, in fact, right there in the motto of the POP movement, which says that it's youth inspired by knowledge. And you have to be inspired by knowledge. You have to be empowered by knowledge. And that is what we tried to do in the second part of this presentation. We tried to give you some insights into the legal and the institutional frameworks, the national and international legal and institutional frameworks that are in place to address some of these environmental issues. In this particular case, it was about plastic pollution. And in the case studies that we gave you and in the examples that we gave you, we tried to give you an idea of how young activists and young leaders are using these laws to further the movement, to create awareness, and to take tangible action in solving some of these daunting challenges. So we hope that you learned something from both the presentations, and we hope that you will use some of these ideas in your future endeavors. Now, in the second part of this workshop, we would like to break into two groups. We will divide the participants into two groups, and we will discuss the two scenarios that were given to you before the workshop. And after that, after about 15 minutes, we will come back to the main group and we will discuss what we talked about with the entire group. So Anna, if we could please go ahead and divide the participants into two groups.
Yes, definitely. Thank you all for such an amazing session. This has been super interesting. Now, Drisha has divided the participants into the two groups according to the previous assignment of the groups and the information you got for the case studies. So, Drisha, if you could help us put the notification so people can go to the breakout room, you will all receive a pop-up that says you are requested to join breakout room. Just click on OK and you will be sent either to breakout room 1 or breakout room 2. Thank you, Drisha. Everyone should have gotten the notification by now.
Hello, just I didn't receive the notification for joining the groups.
Can you check again, Zoe? Anybody who is in the main session and would like to go in any of the breakout rooms, please
Yeah,
let me
this is Supriya here. I need to go to the second group. I would be mentoring them.
know. Okay.
Yeah, good evening, Drisha. If you can put me in group 1.
Sure, sir.
Hi, this is Adil Chauhan. Can you put me in group 2, please?
Sure, sir. Anybody else from NMF would like to go in the breakout rooms? Summer and Caroline, would you like to go to any of the breakout rooms?
We're just reviewing our presentation and stuff, so I think we're good to stay here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, good morning, good evening to all of you, and thanks, Anna, Dr. Ash, Dr. Norma, Dr. Eric. And am I audible?
Yes. Yes, you
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a great pleasure participating and sharing screen with all of you. And I'll be talking on mitigation of maritime disasters from perspective of Indian Coast Guard. I'll start with, since this is a youth-led program and you're launching youth-led action and advocacy training workshop, I will touch upon many issues. So these are the dots, and when we join, maybe end of my end of my lecture, some beautiful picture will be formed, and I am sure a lot of youth and young minds will be ignited with what I speak. To start with, our planet, which is 70% covered with water, has been named as Earth. So many believe that it has been wrongly named, but then even I do feel so. So oceans are important because 70% of our planet is covered with water, and oceans are cradle or font of all lives. But then it is breeding ground for many disasters also. So disasters such as cyclones, storm surges, tsunami. I am going to talk and touch a few issues as far as cyclones, tsunamis, and other things are concerned. But coming to oceans, it is important that we have ocean and coastal observations so that we have a better research, better forecasting technique, so that we are better prepared and we can forecast, and in order we can mitigate and recover from disaster. So for that, we need a strong forecasting and observation network. And our livelihoods are directly tied to the health of oceans. I am sure all of us will agree to that. As the largest ecosystem on the earth, the ocean supports human health, wealth, and well-being of coastal and even inland communities around the world. However, the ocean stressors are environmental stressors, population growth, and we have already discussed something about climate change. All of these are going to negatively impact the ocean unless and until there are coordinated and global actions. And as Dr. Norma has already spoken about SDG 14, I will not touch upon that. But the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development 2021 to 2030 calls for the science we need for the oceans we want. And it has listed 6 societal outcomes for an ocean, something like a clean ocean, healthy and resilient ocean, predicted and safe oceans, sustainable and harvestable and productive ocean, transparent and accessible data and technology. So let us start with what I spoke about, breeding ground for many disasters and cyclone being one of them. I'll talk about India, and then I'll talk about Indian Coast Guard, which is the nodal agency for search and rescue in Indian search and rescue region. Indian EEZ is about 2.02 million square kilometers, and if you talk about ISRR, it is almost double. It is about 4.4 million square kilometers. So you can imagine, and we have a coastline of 7,516 kilometers. So that's a huge coastline we have to protect, to prevent, and Coast Guard 24/7 is, committed for that. Now let's come to the Indian Ocean. We have something called Indian Ocean Dipole. 18 and 19 have been very strong Indian Ocean Dipole year, IOD. Now what is happening? It's not like El Nino. El Nino is a global phenomena, but IOD is a regional phenomena at the best we can say that. And IOD is different from El Nino in the sense that the SSTAs, sea surface temperature anomalies in Indian Ocean, is relatively lesser compared to Pacific, where we find El Nino. However, El Nino is again very important. Indian monsoon are very strongly linked with El Nino. El Nino years are in general attached with not good monsoon years, not good Indian monsoon years. So IOD is slowly developing into a El Nino pattern. Is it not a reason to worry about? And why is it so? It is because of greenhouse gases, global warming. Global warming and greenhouse gases has got short-term and long-term effects. If we talk about sea level rise, again, very important, but one may say that it will take a long time. But what about cyclones? In 2018, Indian Ocean region has seen as good as 7 cyclones. And if we come to 2019, there were about 9 cyclones. Out of that, 6 were very severe cyclonic storm. So that makes our job even more complicated. Because Coast Guard is nodal agency for search and rescue, we have our our area divided into 3 areas, and we have 3 MRCCs, Maritime Rescue Coordination Centers. And if cyclone, the frequency otherwise is Arabian Sea, generally 1 cyclone per year, Bay of Bengal is 4 to 5, but 9 cyclones is unprecedented. So we need to enhance our capabilities as well as capacities. We need to have more assets. And if you see in last decade, Indian Coast Guard has grown almost 5 times. If you talk about assets or you talk about manpower. So what I'm trying to bring out here is Indian Ocean Dipole. Suppose it changes and it is something, it behaves like El Nino, then what happens? Although the research says it will be in later part of the century, but we have time for that. But for cyclones, which are far more frequent, far more intense, we don't have time. And we have to really address these issues. And Coast Guard, as I said, is 24/7. What we have done Indian Coast Guard was formed in 1978. And since then we have saved almost 10,000 lives. So that means almost 1 life every second day. That's, a huge achievement by any standards. In 2019 only, we have escorted about 6,000 fishing vessels, and we have conducted about 300 search and rescue missions. So what we do, if suppose there is a cyclone, first of all, we coordinate with Directorate of Fisheries. We tell the fishing boats that, okay, there's a cyclone likely, and with better predicting models and forecasting models, now we know a few days in advance that there is some cyclone forming in which area. So we tell fishermen not to venture in the sea, or we tell Fisheries Directorate that people who have gone out at sea, we have Navic and other apps nowadays. It is a software world. So we tell fishermen to return back for the safe passage. But then what happens if weather is bad, and it is frequently bad, and there are intense cyclones? The fishing boats, they have there's an increased chance of collision. There's an increased chance of fire also. Suppose the fishing vessel is using a stove for cooking, and there is a rough sea. It's quite possible that the vessel may catch fire. many search and rescue missions which I have undertaken. I have seen fishermen, they are just holding on fishing nets because the fishing nets are having floats on the top, so they are surviving, and maybe a few hours, few days, and Indian Coast Guard has gone and saved them. So bad weather certainly will lead to a lot of accidents, collisions at sea, fire on board fishing vessels. So this is one aspect which Coast Guard monitors, and it is very important that academicians, they pay due attention, and then we evolve in a better system wherein these things are better coordinated. My earlier speakers have touched upon marine plastic. Then again, when we talk about maritime disasters, there are many disasters. Bay of Bengal has got an area of 60,000 square kilometer, which is called dead zone. That means the oxygen level in that entire area, just imagine the kind of area I'm talking about, 60,000 square kilometers, is deficient in oxygen level. So now we know that oceans, there are different, if you talk about oceans, as we go down, the pressure increases, the temperature drops, the sunlight reaches only up to a few meters. So there are different kind of microorganisms which are surviving at different depths. So if there is a dead zone and there is a paucity of oxygen, what happens to all this? So I think this youth movement, I'm sure there will be few who will be interested to study this, marine scientists who are going to study, biological scientists who are going to take up this matter and see what best we can do about it. Because if these species, they're heavily dependent on oxygen, and this is going to be, we are going to damage the ecosystem. If we talk about statistics, in last 50 years, there has been 20 recycling rate has gone up only by around 9 or 10%. And it is estimated that about 10 to 30 million plastics from land-based sources are, going into the oceans. So we need to know, is there any knowledge gap about the biological and physical process that transport plastic through marine ecosystems and potential to humans? That is one aspect. I leave this dot so that we can connect it later on. I think Dr. Norma and Dr. Eric, Dr. Norma spoke about deep sea mining. Yes, see what is happening is that scenario for sustainable transformation of the global economy to near zero greenhouse gas emissions in 2050 in line with the Paris Agreement and UN 2030 agenda for sustainable development relies strongly on renewable sources of energy. Even India is working a lot on renewable sources of energy. Suppose we are, and we have different sources like solar, offshore wind energy, but then what happens to offshore wind energy? For that, we started with permanent magnet. For higher efficiency, we are having a bigger offshore turbines, which are using now semiconductor generators. But then these generators, they require rare earth elements, something like neodymium or yttrium. Now, these rare earth elements, although are found at land sources, they are in abundance at the bottom of the ocean. And there are already people talking about exploring these. So are we going to study what are the harmful effects? Because I'll just give you one small statistic. 42 kgs of neodymium and 300 kgs of copper are required for each megawatt installed capacity for tapping offshore wind energy. That's phenomenal. We are going to transform, let's say, transport sector. From fossil fuel, we are going to have electric cars. But then it will come with its own set of problems. Where are the batteries going to come from? Batteries, they use lithium, cadmium, cobalt. So we will, sooner or later, we are going to explore oceans and we are going to dive deep into the oceans. Now, since 2001, there are about 30 exploration contracts for deep seabed minerals, which has been approved. And these were initially granted for 15 years, but the contract has been renewed for 5 years. If we talk about Clarion Clipperton Zone, CCZ, as it's called, there are 17 of International Seabed Authority, which is also called ICA, contracts for polymetallic nodules in this CCZ region. But a survey shows that even a small area in that region has revealed that there are about 154 unknown Bristol worm species. I'm talking about one species. There may be numerous ones. So there is a risk of losing vast, unexplored, and unknown knowledge. So this is again a dot. We need to work on this. We need to study this. As far as India is concerned, we have also been given an area of about 75,000 square kilometer for deep sea mining, area which is called Central Indian Ocean Basin, CIOB. So what I'm saying is that seabed mining will be required for rare earth metals so as to reduce the greenhouse gases. So it is a cycle. You reduce greenhouse gases, you reduce global warming, you reduce sea level, you reduce frequencies and intensity of cyclone, but all these will require rare earth elements. So we'll require to undertake seabed exploration, but then this will have impact on marine life, ocean currents, marine pollution. What happens if the vessels which are involved, there is oil spillage? Oil pollution, of course, I'm going to touch upon a little later. So we need to study or assess the impact or try to quantify. So if we are going to affect the oceans, are we not going to again change the ocean phenomena like IOD, which I mentioned just now, or El Nino? So there is a possibility. So we need to study that. Now coming to oceans, we depend heavily on oceans. We have fisheries, tourism, eco services like food, recreation and heritage, human health, industries, nuclear plants, salt production, desalination plants, shipyards, all are situated along the coast. Most of them are situated along the coast. I think Dr. Norma spoke about, or there was a video about olive ridley turtle. Indian Coast Guard undertakes an operation called Op Olivia, which is conducted about 6 to 7 months because Orissa coast, Gahir Matha to be more precise, it's a breeding ground for olive ridley turtles. And there's a very famous saying, hot chicks and cool dudes. What happens if the hatchlings which come out, if the sand temperature is around 29 to 30 degrees, it is female hatchlings are produced. But if the temperatures are less, let's say around 25 degrees, male hatchlings are produced. So what was happening 2015, 16, 17, the sand temperature was more because there were there were very few cyclones affecting that region. So what happened? A lot of female hatchlings came out. That was the imbalance. But what happened in 18, 19, again, because of cyclones, which I just mentioned, the sand temperature dropped. And this time, there are reports that about 2 crore hatchlings have been sighted. So that's a huge amount. That's a phenomenal increase. So is somebody going to study this? This is again a spot, again a dot, which we need to join. So these are all, you can say, ocean disasters. These are all because of anything and everything related to climate change, greenhouse gas emissions, global warming. Human beings are responsible to a very large extent for whatever we are, doing for damage to the climate and to the ocean. Now let's come to oil pollution. Oil pollution will primarily, Indian Coast Guard again is a nodal agency as far as the government of India is concerned. Our area, we have 90% of the trade which moves by volume and 70% by value moves by the ships, because ships, we know that it's cheapest mode of transportation. Last 2.5 months, we have seen two incidences. One was MV New Diamond, which was off Sri Lanka. The vessel caught fire and Indian Coast Guard was actively involved in this operation. The oil tanker had about 270,000 tons of crude oil. Good that we didn't have oil spill, but then Indian Coast Guard had deployed 6 Coast Guard ships, and these ships were two were having integrated helicopters embarked on them. Then 2 Dornier aircraft and 1 warship of Indian Navy was pressed into that. Coast Guard has got pollution control vessels, 3 pollution control vessels, which are specially designed for controlling pollutions. So, and the second incident, MV Wakashio, which ran aground in southern part of Mauritius, the island nation. It had about 4,000 tons of oil, and spillage was estimated to be about 10,000.
I hope everybody enjoyed and took some time to understand things. I see group 1 is ready. Group 2 had some technical issue and they were not able to complete. Nevertheless, I'm sure it was a good exercise.
Yes.
So group 1, are you ready to do your presentation? By the time group 1 does, group 2 can formulate your thought process, and one of you can explain how you plan to go ahead with your final plan of action till the time group one can start.
Okay, sure. Should I talk a little bit about our problem or just go ahead with the solutions?
Yeah, you have got 5 minutes and you have to convince all of us to become your team member.
Okay, so our country is called Piracia, and it has these waste problems. We buy plastic waste from other country, which is called, sorry, it's called the Federation of Utopia. So we buy plastic waste from them, and this is really important for our geopolitical position and for our relations. So this is something important. We also have beautiful beaches, clean air, and nice mountains. We have great landscapes. So, but the thing is that we are watching more and more pollution in our country. So the question is, how will we approach as a young citizen, or how would we do that? What we were thinking first is to educate ourselves. So in order to do something, we need to understand the issue, the roots of the issue. The second, that is like the short term solution, or well, the short-term approach. Then we will do um, campaigns like in social media. We will try to do research at the local or international laws to see how we can support our claims with this in order to um, make the country do something different. Either it will be by promoting our ecotourism, because we have great nature, great landscapes, so we could do that. Or we could improve the facilities so they won't be polluting that much. Also, we're going to try to promote a campaign in which our country uses less of this or produces less plastic waste. So this 20% is the one that we are importing from Utopia, but we need to reduce also our 80% produced. And finally, on long term, we will use a strategy and try to make like a binational agreement so that both countries can start working on this together. Because this is not just a problem for us, and even if we stop our plastic waste production, the other country is going to still be doing that. And also, not just these two countries. The idea is that these can be replicated around the world.
Thank you very much. Group 2, are you ready?
Yes, so we did not have enough time and we just talked about the first three questions. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so can I please get the presentation? I mean, the question.
Yeah, Supriya, if you can put that, share your
Yes, the
slide.
screen sharing is blocked. If somebody can enable screen sharing, please.
Yes, of course. Trisha, could you please help us give Supriya the chance to share her screen?
It's still disabled.
I
I'm
think you have
sorry, I
been
don't
made
remember the
co-host now.
names. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. The problem here is that there is a lot of plastic pellet production, which is used in different industries. So the question is, that there is an industry being set up wherein there is a lot of plastic pellets being used, and all the pellets are later dumped close to an island. So the first question is, what are the consequences of the pre-production plastic pellet pollution? So it was discussed that they are bad for marine life. Also, it is bad to humans and other animals as well, because once we consume the fish and all, it is surely going to affect our health as well. And the waters, they might carry the plastic pellets, and they could eventually end up on land, and animals that are living on land can also be affected. Also, if they are disposed in inappropriate manners like these, the soil there would get degraded, and it would not be feasible for cultivation at all. Also, this, I mean, production of plastic is already a bad thing that the production sector is doing, and it is going to hit the agricultural sector as well. And coming to the second question, the different stakeholders involved. The different stakeholders are the government officials who will be giving licenses to the production units, and the industry itself, and the communities living around the area, and the policy makers. And the immediate action that we would take as responsible people of the community would be to use social media and get the public involved by talking about the gravity of the situation, and telling people about the consequences. Also, we should bring the attention of the stakeholder. In this case, it would be the industry and the policymakers, as well as the people that actually give licenses to the industry. So we should tell them that this is happening, and it will go on legally. And we could also have a beach cleanup as responsible citizens. So yeah, this is what we have discussed.
Okay. Thank you, Group 2. I think you had less time, but you were able to summarize and gather your thoughts. It was good, great to listen to your ideas. And this brings us to close of our workshop. To finish, may I request Admiral Sir to please say a few words and to just finish the whole proceeding.
Okay, hi everybody. I thought aspect, the workshop was well crafted and the sessions were challenging. I thought that the people who responded did so with a degree of responsibility that is quite impressive. And I think Ivan summed it up very well for group one. So thank you there, Ivan. And in the case of Uma, once again, she was able to sum up. More importantly, we don't need to actually respond to everything during the session itself with the difficulties of multiple people trying to discuss things over patchy or difficult to handle internet. But I think that the answers lie in you taking the situation, reconsidering it in your own little groups, and then determining what can be done, utilizing the presentations made on the London Convention and the Basel Convention, etc., MARPOL, UNCLOS, and seeing what is it that we need to do, because while doing things is very important, knowing what is to be done is equally so. And so when you deal with large corporates and you deal with large industries, it's not enough for you to merely be disruptive. You must also be able to take advantage of the legal structures that have been created and leverage them both at your own level as well as through the interactions that you have with your mentors and those people who are marginally older. So I think that all in all, the workshops need to continue. We need to involve all of ourselves in the various facets, including, of course, as I said, how do we tackle governments? How do we tackle legal issues? And I'll stop there because I know that we're running tight for time, and I'm conscious of the fact that you have another session. So once again, Ash, thank you ever so much. Thank you, everybody. for participating quite so wholeheartedly and for making light of the many difficulties that otherwise technology places before us when we're large groups trying to handle things together. Great. Thank you very much. Over back to you, Anand.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words. Thank you, Ash, for giving NMF a chance to share our experience and learn a lot from your team also. And with this, we will, come back to listening mode, and you can move ahead with your second session, which we are also eagerly looking forward to participate and learn from them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This workshop was really insightful, and I'm sure all the participants here learned a lot. The case studies were really, really interesting. And thank you for the participants who shared their reflections from their breakout rooms. Now, we would like to move on to our second session, which is about overcoming challenges. This session will be imparted by a group of three young girls called the Eco Eaters. First, we have Summer. Summer lives in San Tomas, and she's an avid diver, sailor, and ocean advocate. She's also a glider pilot, and she has received numerous scholarships and accolades. Last year, she started an environmental club called the Earth Warriors along with her friends, and she initiated the Eco Eaters, a project to reduce single-use plastics at local restaurants. We also have Caroline Sandberg, a student at Tahoe Expedition Academy in California. She's the co-founder and president of the Earth Warriors, her high school's environmental club. This club started the Eco Eaters with Summer as well, which also works on reducing single-use plastic in local restaurants. Caroline recently led her school in a climate strike in Reno, Nevada, where she was interviewed by a local news station on raising awareness for climate action through simple lifestyle changes. And thirdly, we have Lauren. Lauren also attends the Tahoe Expedition Academy in California, and she's the secretary for the Earth Warriors, her school's environmental club. She is also a part of the Eco Eaters, and she's currently working with another Eco Club to pass a resolution to make her school a part of the Schools for Climate Action organization, with calls on Congress to act on climate legislation. Thank you to Caroline, Summer, and Lauren. I will pass the word on to you now.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Anna. We're so excited to be presenting here. And also thank you to the National Maritime Foundation. That presentation was excellent. So we're going to start off with just a fun icebreaker activity that's going to be a few questions, and it's a Kahoot. I don't know how many of you have heard of Kahoots before, but I'm going to share my screen really quick, and then I'll explain how it goes. So Anna, could you let me know if you can see it? Okay, you can see the Kahoot.
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
Great. Okay. So if you don't have to participate if you can't, but if you can, that would be amazing. So you just, it has the instructions right here. Just go to kahoot.it right here, and then type in this game pin. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll wait just a few minutes if anyone can join. Yeah, and I definitely encourage you to participate if you can. But again, if you have Wi-Fi issues or yeah, if you can't, no problem. I see we have some participants joining. I'm gonna see if the music works because it's kind of a fun part of it. Can you hear the music?
No, we can't hear the music, Summer.
It's no problem. So basically, if you don't know how it works, there's going to be a question that's going to pop up on the shared screen, and there's going to be different colors on there with the answers. And on your screen, you're going to see the different colors, and you're going to pick the color at what answer you think it's going to be. It sounds a little tiny bit confusing, but I'm sure you'll understand it once you actually see it. I see people are still joining, so I'm going to give it another minute. Is anybody having any issues? Okay, I think that's probably about everyone. If anyone, oh, never mind. Okay, I think I'm going to start now. You can join late. I think the code will be in the corner somewhere on the screen, but it's only going to be a few questions, just a quick little activity here. So there's going to be about 20 seconds to answer each question, I think. And there's going to be a winner, but they're easy questions, so it's not going to be hard or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started then. So the question is, challenges are normal. It's a true or false question. So you can click on the color that you think it is. So the answer is, of course, true, because challenges are definitely normal. So I'm glad to see that everyone got that question right. Okay, moving on. Oh yes, and here we have the scoreboard, and it changes very quickly. So you can definitely get on the scoreboard after another question if you're not there. So the second question is, how many times did Thomas Edison fail before inventing the light bulb? It's 100, 10, 1,000 or more, or 500. What do you guys think? Yes, so the answer is 1,000. Okay, so I think it's 1,000 to 10,000. So he tried so many different times before actually inventing the light bulb and succeeding. So I can see there's a varying answers here, because it could have been any of these, and all of those are a lot of times to try, but he never gave up. I mean, I'm sure he did give up, but he always kept going after that. See, as you can see, the scoreboard changes really quickly here. So I have some new people on the scoreboard here. Okay, third question is, what is the most overlooked leadership skill? Public speaking, overcoming adversity, organization, or innovation? And this is a tricky one because those are all leadership skills. Yeah, so the answer is overcoming adversity, which is kind of a little bit of a cheat, because that is what our presentation is pretty much about. Because overcoming adversity can lead you to giving up if you don't overcome it. Yeah, so mixed answers. Innovation is, of course, very important too. I'm sure that is an overlooked leadership skill. Okay, and I think we just have one more question left, is you have the power within you to succeed, true or false? So of course it's true. Everybody in the world has the power within them to succeed. And with that, we will see who won, even though you all won because you were all doing great. So here's the podium. Lauren got 3rd place. Philo, 2nd place, good job. And Salma, good job everyone. That was a really fun activity. I'm glad so many of you could participate. Oh yes, and we have the runners up there in the corner. Okay, so that was our quick little introduction activity. I think I'm going to pass it to you, Caroline, to go ahead and start. Let me just put this in present mode here.
Okay.
Okay, can you, Anna, can you let me know if you can see the presentation?
Yes,
Okay?
we can see it. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. All right, Caroline.
Okay, so here is, it's called the iceberg of success, and it shows the steps to overcome a challenge or a problem. So as you can see, the ones below the waterline, it's what people don't see when you're trying to overcome a challenge, and then the one above the waterline is kind of the result and what people do see. So these are the steps. You start at the bottom and you go up, and from the bottom up, you can follow the pattern to see what the steps are to overcome a challenge. And people can use this in all of their projects, or lots of times it's used in jobs as well. So we'll zoom into each particular point and go and describe each point more close up. So, Summer, if you want to go into the first point. For the first point is identifying a problem. So first I'm going to ask, what do you all think the best way to go about identifying a problem is? So I'll type the question in the chat, and then everybody can respond in the chat to just see what they think the best way to go about identifying a problem is. Yeah, so feel free to go and answer in the chat what you think. I said, yeah, seeing if it's recurrent. That's a good point. I'll wait for a couple more and then I'll describe what we think identifying a problem is. But there's really multiple answers. There's not just one answer to this. Yep, doing research, definitely. That's a huge one. See if anybody else has any ideas.
Some people are saying that they're only available to share messages with co-hosts. So Trisha, if you could check that, please. Thank you.
I think they must have selected to whom they can message. They need to change the setting.
Or do one of the co-hosts, do you think you could read off some of the answers that have been?
Yes. So we have from Liz, seeing how many people it affects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Observation from Norma.
Okay, great.
Observe your environment and local community.
Mm-hmm. Research about it. Yeah, research is a big one, definitely. To learn more about the problem. Okay, so I'll read off what we think a little bit. So like you said, research is a huge one. Definitely defining and clarifying the problem, just so you completely know what the problem's about. And what do you know about the problem and what do you not know? You have to learn both sides of it. And define your goals for what you want to solve from the problem and make them very specific. And then also understanding what the facts are versus the opinions relating to your problem. So those are kind of the main things we have. And then the next point, Summer, do you want to move on to the next one, which is exploring solutions? So again, I'll type the question and everybody can answer how do you think you would explore solutions? We'll get a couple answers from you guys, and then again, we'll describe how we think you should best explore the solutions. See how others solve their problems. Definitely. get insight from others. Researching, talking to people. Researching, again, is a huge one, and exploring solutions. I see research, brainstorm, analyze resources, talking with people in your community. That's great. Yep, knowledge and learning about it. So what we have is the first one is definitely conducting research. I know a lot of people said that one. And then identifying what the root problem is, and then you can explore solutions from there. And create a list of possible solutions. Lots of times you want to have more than just one solution. You'll want to brainstorm a lot of them and then select it from there. And usually if it's a harder problem, you're going to want to have more options for a solution. And then finally, you can brainstorm using charts or diagrams. That's sometimes very helpful. So now we'll move on to developing an action plan, and Lauren's going to talk about that.
Yeah, so kind of similar to before, just think about the question, what would an action plan look like? And the action plan is kind of just where you decide on a solution. So just think about like what you're going to do overall in solving your problem. Yeah, detailed step-by-steps, that's definitely very important. You want to have each step clearly outlined. Yeah, that's also very important. And this can encompass a wide range of things. Like Caroline said, there's no right answer. Yeah, make a presentation, show it to others, recruiting people, involving lots of people in your community is really important. Learning from workshops, yep. Yeah, long, short, medium-term goals. Yeah, these are all really good answers. Yeah, I think lots of people are mentioning goals, which is really important. You want to have like a long-term solution planned out as well. So kind of some of the things that we were thinking about is that you need to generate a list of actions that are required to complete your ultimate goal. So you want to think big picture, and then you also want to think like step by step. So this list of actions that you create should prevent the problem from getting to others. So you want to try to solve it so that it doesn't spread any farther and that you can like deal with it head on. And it should address the root cause of your problem. So rather than trying to address like the side effects of the problem or kind of what's coming out of it, you want to get to the root cause and really kind of figure out what you can do to make a difference. And the most ideal solution that you should have should be effective, meaning that it will meet the goal. It should be efficient, so it should be cost effective and time effective, and it should have few consequences or like few side effects from implementing it. And you also want to make a timeline of these actions and then assign a team member to each action. So you want it to be very clear what you're doing and who's doing it. And you also want to make a system to keep track of each goal as they are being completed to ensure that the actions are getting done. So you want your outline to be really clear to make sure that it's actually going to happen and actually get done. So now we can move on to executing an action plan. So this one, if you see on the diagram, it looks kind of like most of the way in the water, but it's also a little bit out of the water. So people don't see most of this, but they do see a little bit of when you're actually executing it. So the problem or the question is, how would you implement an action plan, or pretty much just implement a solution? Yeah, asking for help, that's also definitely a very important step. You want to make sure that you're willing to ask for help if you need it. Just do it. Trying is the best way to achieving anything. Yeah, I think that's also really important. Just doing anything is going to be helpful. You need to just make progress and start doing something.
Will, skills, and funds, yeah, those are all definitely very important. Spreading awareness through the workspaces, the workshops, be a good listener, making strategic alliances, yeah, involve all the necessary stakeholders. Yeah, you guys have some really good answers. Uniting with people with the same goal and fight together. Yeah, definitely. Lobbying, yeah, for sure. Yeah, these are all really good parts of executing the action plan. I think you need to, it's important that you follow the timeline and the assignments. If you just like stick to your plan, stick to your schedule, you need to make sure that it's flowing smoothly. And I think someone mentioned you should be prepared for feedback and also request feedback regarding the success of your change. So don't be afraid to ask for help. If you get feedback, make sure you try to incorporate it. And also ask for help, ask for feedback, even if you don't think you need it, because other people's opinions and other people's thoughts and ideas can be really valuable. And also know that you probably won't get it right the first time. It's going to take lots of attempts, lots of progress, and just remember that you will get there eventually. You just need to keep working hard. And there will probably be lots of rounds of testing and receiving feedback, and then maybe altering your plan based on what you receive as feedback or what you learned from your first attempt. And then also you just want to make sure that each action is being completed. So you want to verify that everyone's doing their jobs and that everything is getting done. So now we can move on to evaluating the results.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about this, but before I do so, I'm just going to explain a little tiny bit more about the iceberg. So here is below the water. That's what people don't see about success. So I included some words on here that come along with any success. So there's doubt, sacrifices, hard work, dedication, criticism, rejection, and persistence. Those are some important words. I just wanted to let you guys know what the words were on there. Okay, let me go into hold on. Sorry, some technical difficulties here. So evaluating the results is definitely an important step. This is after you have hopefully solved your problem, the problem that you wanted to solve. So Lauren mentioned getting feedback. So that's an important step I also want to include in evaluating the results. Getting feedback from people involved with the problem, the issue that you're trying to solve. What did you learn from the problem? What did you learn from solving it? And make sure you keep all of that information in mind for when you have another problem, because you definitely will in creating these type of environmental projects. Like Lauren said, you'll never get it right the first time, and you're gonna have to try again and again, and you'll have continuous recurring problems. So you want to keep in mind all the steps that you took and the data you collected and the research you did to solve the problem that you just solved, hopefully. Caroline mentioned some about creating goals. And so in this step, you may want to take a look back at the goals you created and see if you met your goals, and you can see what was realistic about your goals and what was unrealistic about them, and what you maybe need to change for next time you try to solve a problem, and how have your goals helped you, have they not, adjusting them for the next time depending on how they went for this time. And if you didn't meet your goals, maybe try to go back a few steps and repeat some of those steps, and maybe change your goals so that you can try to go through some of the steps again and try to meet the goals again. Was there any unforeseen consequences? What went wrong? Again, this is just part of what did you learn throughout this process, throughout the six steps. There are 6, by the way, if you didn't catch that. What you learned through them, and yeah, how you can improve that for next time. And if the problem is resolved, what can you change about what caused the problem? So that's an important step. Find out the root of the problem, as I think Lauren said. Find out the root of the problem and get rid of that, or change what you did to create the problem. That's an important step. Okay, so that is evaluate the results. Pretty straightforward, and I'm sure you all understand. We're just putting it into some concise words for you. And so the final step is continuously improve. And this is a really, really important step because after you solve the problem, in my experience, we tend to just stop and take a break and just do nothing. And then that's where other problems arise. So you want to keep that momentum going. You just solved the problem. You overcame a challenge. You want to keep going, keep that momentum up, and just move on. So you want to look for additional opportunities to implement solutions. Any other areas of your work where you have found issues or some issues that you might think will get bigger later, you want to just really narrow in on that. Try to repeat the steps, and these steps can be huge, long steps that can take like weeks, months. They could take a day. They could take a few hours to do the whole step. So these 6 steps can be applied to any type of problem, small problems and big problems. So, so continuously improve also comes along with ensuring that the problem won't come back and communicate what lessons you've learned. So if you're with a team, you want to make sure everyone in your team understands the steps that you took to get here and the steps that created the problem, and try to adjust that, just like I just said, just reiterating, of course. And if needed, repeat the 6-step problem solving process and dive into further improvement. So I kind of just repeated myself a bunch there, but continuously improve is a super important step because you want to make sure you build on that momentum and just keep going and make your project unstoppable, because that is what we're trying to do. So that is the full iceberg for you guys. So as Caroline said, this is the iceberg of success. So if you follow these steps, hopefully you will achieve success. And don't forget that all of these words here come along with success no matter what. So don't be discouraged by any problem that you face. That is, of course, part of success. And as the iceberg shows, people only see the top few steps. They only see the best. And there's so many things going on. So if you imagine other projects and you think that they're so perfect and amazing, I can guarantee you that they have a million steps that they went through to get there, or they're still experiencing so many issues that they're trying to resolve and fix. So that is the whole iceberg. And we can send you the steps. I'm sure we have a WhatsApp group, so if you want us to repeat the steps or share the presentation, we definitely can. So I'm going to pass it back to Caroline, who's going to explain our breakout activity.
Yeah, so now we're going to do a little breakout activity, kind of following the iceberg of success, where we're going to give you different hypothetical scenarios, and you'll have to use the iceberg of success or use the steps from it to solve these problems. So for everyone, hypothetically, you're going to be in an environmental club with your breakout group, and each of you will get your own different challenge that you'll have to overcome. And these are actual challenges that we've faced in the past in our environmental clubs or in our Eco Eaters project, or different challenges that we faced in the past. So in your breakout rooms, you're gonna, we recommend that you choose one person to take notes of everything you're saying. And then if we have time, maybe when we come back, a couple of you will present these ideas. And you'll have 10 minutes in your breakout rooms. And if you have any questions about this, just wait until you're in the breakout room, because each one of us, Lauren, Summer, or I, or Anna, will be in the breakout room with you to answer any questions, and we'll give you the scenarios in the breakout rooms. So you probably should get a notification soon to get into the different breakout rooms. There will be 4 different rooms with the scenarios.
Thank you so much, Caroline, Lauren, and Summer. This has been really interesting. Now, Drisha will help us. Just to clarify, they will be 10 minutes long, you said? Okay.
Yeah, correct. 10 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. See you in the breakout rooms.
Hi, I'm Ragni. I'm from India and I'm in my senior year of high school. I'm mainly into environmental activism as well as promoting, spreading environmental awareness at a rural level and ensuring that due to our actions, the people in the rural areas who don't have much knowledge about, the
My
happenings
name
in
is
the
Anna
world, they don't get impacted
Mexico
really
City.
badly.
Currently, I'm working as the special events coordinator of Plastic Oceans Mexico and
Okay,
with
so
Pop Ocean
basically,
organizing different cool events.
mine's more
book I
about
would recommend
my project's more
is
about promoting environmental awareness and equity in the rural areas by making the
There's a
change
documentary
at
called
all
The
level. So because of the pandemic, a lot of people like in the rural areas, if we ask them right now to change their practices or methods, it's just going to make it harder for them because they are currently struggling to earn wages. So by making changes where you can and amongst people who can, I think that's the way to go. So basically over here, one of the topics which I'm most passionate about is fast fashion because I feel like that's the main culprit and we don't talk about it much. So sorry. Yeah, so over here is like basically a life cycle of a dress, right? So it's produced and then we wear it, we take a few pictures, put it here and there, and then we don't. Then after a while, we discard it, right? And eventually, it finds its way in the rivers and landfills, and back to the rural areas to runoff or through the rivers. And if you see over here, eventually the negative impact is is on the health of the individuals in the rural areas. And according to me, and I saw a study from I'm not sure, I think it was Leeds University. They also said that because a lot of people in rural areas they see so much garbage and so much waste in the rivers from the urban areas. For them, that's the standard of normal. So whatever, like however much they litter, it's still not half as bad as what they see, right? And that I feel like that's one of the main reasons why people, even if they know that we have to keep our water clean and stuff, people don't. So my idea is to, right now, especially during coronavirus, my way to go about this is through social media because, speaking from like a teenager's point of view, it's the medium of mass communication right now. And whatever you see on social media, it kind of sticks with you, even if it's just a headline. So basically, this is my these are the steps which I think we
I think everybody is back in the main session. Or is it just group 1?
Yes, this is group 1. So we still have a couple more minutes for the other groups to join back. I think they have a minute or so left.
I think most people that are starting to come back. Thank you, Lauren, Caroline, and Summer for this really cool activity.
Yeah, thank you. So I think most people are back now. So now with our last couple minutes, we can go around, and anybody who wants to talk about what their group talked about in their breakout room and what their solutions were, you're welcome to do that. So do we want to start with group 1? From group 1. Does somebody want
I
to
think
talk?
someone raised their hand, so if you want to go to them first.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
So Nida Hope, if you want to speak, please go ahead.
All right, so hi everyone, I'm from group 1 and our team members were Caroline, Ibrahim, Destin and Carilo. So the idea was we had proposed for a greenhouse project in the institution, which was declined by the school principal, and we had to work on it and ensure that we have a plan and an end result. So this is what we agreed. First of all, it being a school, we had to talk to the students' body, make them realize how important the idea is, not only to them, but also to the community at large. So we convinced the the students' body and have 100% backup, or at least more than 50% backup of the students' body. And once the students have the idea, we were going now to involve the teachers so that we get closer to the administration, where we are going to put the project in place and start up small activities within the administration support. At this point, our school principal will be able to notice the progress and impact of the club. Probably he has realized that the students in the institution are engaging themselves in more productive activities than the rate at which they're wasting time lounging within the institution, and more of productive time. At the end of this, once our principal acknowledges the project, which I believe he has to, is to form a club, an environmental club, just in case the institution didn't have one, so that we're able to implement our ideas. And to widen up the idea, we hope to form a mini project. If the school already has an environmental club, a mini project just in the greenhouse, I just said that we are able to widen it up to the outside community and try to bring impact not only to the institution, but the neighboring community. Yes, that's a presentation from room 1.
Yeah, thank you so much. Those were really great ideas. I was in that group and the discussion was going really great in the group. So thank you for that. And now somebody from group 2, Does somebody from group 2 want to talk about?
I think our group was group 2. So our group had a lot of really good ideas about how to push back and how to gather support. So one idea was peaceful social disobedience. So gathering groups and peacefully protesting. Another was to change perspective. So if we filed, our question was about filing a petition to, if you file a petition to a town council and they reject it, what do you do? So another one was like, think about why they rejected it, or ask them why, and then try to change it a little bit or pivot it, not the main point, but to maybe provide some incentives for the decision makers or reasons why they would want to approve it. We also talked about getting other stakeholders involved. So maybe getting small businesses or other government stakeholders. And then a really good suggestion was to bring in the media. So, get media involvement, get people to publicize this and bring attention to what the need is.
Yeah, thank you, Marissa. Those are really great ideas. Yeah, that sounds like a great, you had a great discussion as well. So from group 3 now, anybody from group 3 want to talk about what they discussed in their breakout room?
That was my group, just for anyone who's unclear. So anybody from the group want to share what we discussed?
I can go if, yeah. So yeah, we talked about having a situation of being part of an environmental movement and not having our community involved. And well, we basically talked about and gave out different points of view of how we could, re-engage people to act. And some of them were, like resetting your goals as the movement, and maybe asking around people, like giving people their own voice about the problem and about what the solution could be about, and checking if you had holes in your own like iceberg. and yeah, I think that was most of it. If I'm missing anything out, well, there was this point that we talked about about getting feedback from like maybe other NGOs or other leader of other environmental movements that have done this before, have faced these problems, and not being afraid of asking for help, because I think that's a big one. And I don't know if I'm missing anything out, group 3. So if you want to complete.
I think Liz also was talking about how you need to learn about what the community is, learn about their local culture and their ways of behavior and attitudes, so to better approach them and engaging them. That was something Liz raised.
Yeah, thanks so much. That was a good description of our discussion. If we just want to do hear from group 4 really quickly, just to stay on time. So Anne, I think that was your group. So anyone from Anne's group?
Yes, thank you, Summer. So for our group, we will have Stuti Mishra speaking, and then if anyone else wants to add anything else, you can go ahead.
Well, yeah, regarding the group, regarding the question which we were given in our with our team to discuss about was
could you speak just a little louder if you don't mind? Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Stuti.
Well, we were given the question. There was, your club is trying to decide on a project. There are 2 top ideas, but there is no agreement on which one to choose. How will you decide and make it fair for everyone? So we came up with some solutions for this question, and that is, I think we should go with majority. I mean, we can tell both all the members of our team to vote for one idea, and whatever will have majority, we can go with that. Or else we can talk about options with our team members and check benefits of each option and compare the options, and whichever will be seem better with everyone, so we can go ahead with that. Or else if the group is divided in half, we should go with if the group votes for both the ideas and it comes 50-50, so we can go with the idea that is most impactful. Or else we can ask our group members to vote for a second option and take the majority option out of that. Or else we can do both the projects and just decide the order of the project. I mean, we can we can put first the most most desirable option on the first, and then the other one, and or else we can do a mix of the two ideas, and in which both group has to have to compromise something. I mean, some points. So that way. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuti. Does anyone else from the group want to add anything else? I think
Thank you,
Stuti
Anna.
did a great job in summarizing everything we talked about, but I don't know if Zoe or Victoria or Michelle wants to add anything.
I think Stuti covered all.
Thank you, Victoria. Back to the eco-eaters. Thank you so much.
Well, that was all for our session. We're just gonna close here just so we stay on time. I know everyone probably has things to do, but thank you guys so much for being so engaged during our presentation and being here. It's so important that everybody continues learning, and we are definitely learning from you as well. So I see some things being put in the chat, so make sure you check out the feedback survey that Anna put in the chat there. And thank you guys so much for having us, and we've had a great time here. Caroline, Lauren, I don't know if you want to say anything while we're ending here.
Yeah, just thank you so much for having us. This was a great opportunity. And thank you so much for everyone who participated. It went really well. And the breakout discussion seemed very interesting as well. So thank you.
Yeah, I think that went really great. And I'm really thankful for this opportunity. And I loved hearing all of the discussions that were going on. I think there were some really great ideas being shared. So thank you all so much for participating, and thank you for letting us speak here.
Thank you all so much. We really appreciated this session. This was really interesting. And now for some closing words, I will give the word to Ash, who will talk about the festival and the next session where we will have some present if anyone wants to present.
Thank you so much, Anna. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to close out by saying it's been a fantastic couple of hours, really so informative, extremely inspiring. And I just want to thank the NMF family once again for the engaging and extremely stimulating session. Thank you very much. And the Eco Eaters for the tremendous inspiration and extremely interactive and creative session. So thank you, all of you, for this fantastic couple of hours. And I also want to thank the entire POP family for making this happen, and each one of you for being a part of this and really sort of jumping in and absorbing all that we can. And I think that that's really what this is about. So thank you so much. I also want to say this is a very special moment because we're building up to the pop movement's flagship event, which takes place annually, called the Pop Festival. And the reason we call it the festival is because we really want to underscore the spirit of hope. And this is really what it's about. We want to be able to focus on the positivity, and it takes being positive, it takes being hopeful, and spreading goodness. And so this festival is really about bringing the pop family from around the world together to showcase all that each one of us is doing, and to be able to celebrate being together and being a family, but also learning from each other and networking in the process. So this is scheduled in the first week of December, and I want to invite each one of you to be a part of it. I know we have some links to the Pop Festival page on the website, and some pre-registration links and some videos to previous festival events. So we'll post them here to the group, to the chat. But I wanted to say, do join us. You know, each one of you is a special member of the family, and we do celebrate you every day of our lives. But we want to be able to come together at the festival and really be part of a big global family. And I just want to underscore what we said in one of our first sessions, which is that coming together, we get to change, to be a part of that change we want to see in the world. So let's celebrate coming together, and I invite all of you to be a part of this festival. And a happy birthday once again to Susanna. I can see a lot of greetings. It's so wonderful. We're thrilled to be able to celebrate with you today. And thank you once again to each one of you. This has truly been special. We're looking forward to the next session a week from today. Needless to say, we'll stay in touch right through. So I'm gonna ask you, and we'll be in touch with each of the ones that we're working with more closely, although we're all working together to build up to the moment we'll get to present the incredible ideas. And I know from the discussions I've been privy to and been so privileged to be that we've got some fantastic project ideas. So let's keep working on those ideas. They may not be final presentations, and they're not intended to be. The important thing is that we have an idea, and even an idea, and really change starts with an idea. That's where even the pop movement started out, where everything that I can think of really started out with an idea. So it doesn't matter if it's not a mature project, but the important thing is you'll have a chance to share it, and we can't wait to learn from each other. And that's what this is about. So that's going to be the next week. Keep in touch with each of us. I know we've sort of been distributed across the group, but let's keep talking and build up to that moment. And same time, same place, next week it is. Thank you all so much. And let's sing, yes. So here we go. Everybody sing a happy birthday. All right. So let's go now. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday,
Susanna.
Happy
birthday
Happy birthday
to you.
Can you open your video, please? Can you open your
Thank you.
video?
That was
You,
lovely.
please?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Keep safe, happy, and healthy, everybody, and see you in a few days when we keep talking. Have a wonderful and blessed day, Susanna, and a great year ahead.
Thank you.
And many, many, many more. Movimiento!
Pop!
Movimiento! Movimiento! Great. Have a wonderful time, guys. Many happy returns again, Susanna, and love and hugs to the entire family.
Thank you all so much. We will send
Thank
some
you.
general announcements on the
Thank you,
WhatsApp
guys.
and Facebook group.
Yes.
But thank you also so much. Thank you to the NMF and to the Eco Eaters for 2 amazing sessions. It was really great to see everyone again. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. It was really fun.
Thank you.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Bye. Stay
Thank
safe.
you very much.
Have a
Bye,
good
guys.
day,
Stay safe.
y'all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys.